Into the program. Love that promo Jamie Allman ran just a minute ago. I just about spit coffee out of my mouth when I heard him do that this morning. Because when I brought up Neil Diamond earlier, that's the song, Sweet Caroline, that everybody brought up in the studio.
Bum, bum.
That's kind of become that wedding song. It used to be Brick House when everybody would shout in the middle of the song. And now it's that one. Da, da, da. Everybody shouts. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So Neil Diamond's in town tonight. And if you get tickets, good for you. Good luck. I don't even know where he's playing. Is he down here? Do you know? I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, welcome back into the program. We'll get to much more to get to before the show's up today. But right now, I want to talk a little bit more about our relations with China. The president, of course, meeting with the Chinese leader. At the same time, we were bombing Syria, so I'm guessing that was an interesting breakfast the two of them had when they were sitting out on the veranda at Mar-a-Lago recently. Michael Stumo is joining me right now as my guest. He's the CEO of the Coalition for a Prosperous America. Among other things, the group kind of helped lead the fight against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Michael, how are you?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for giving us a little bit of time today. I appreciate that. You know, your organization has an interesting mix of people in it. Tell us a little bit about the coalition.
So we're a coalition, national coalition of people who make and grow things here, meaning manufacturers, agriculture, farmers and ranchers, as well as workers in all kinds of sectors. And we're concerned about the U.S. Trade deficit killing jobs and the economy in this country.
Sure. So I was, I guess, a little surprised when I saw the number of labor unions represented in your, like, members of your board and stuff represent some of the biggest labor unions in the country as well.
Sure, yeah. Our board chairman is Dan D'Amico, formerly of Nucor, who was headed up Trump's trade transition team. But on the other hand, we have representatives from AFL-CIO and Teamsters unions, because trade is an American issue. It doesn't cut cleanly down party lines like other issues.
Right.
So it's an interesting group of folks.
Yeah, very true. And of course, you know, we've already seen some movement since Donald Trump became president. What are you hoping for, or what did you see that you liked out of the at least preliminary discussions with China?
So they had they came out with they're talking about a 100-day plan with some way stations to reduce our massive trade imbalance with China, where China sells us far more than we sell them. China's about 75% of our trade deficit, so we're sending them about $350 billion a year to grow their industry, their military, and their economy rather than our own. So that 100-day plan is hopeful. So far, it's only talk. Time will tell. So we're hopeful on that side, but we're hoping it doesn't become like what Obama and Bush did, which was strategic economic dialogue with China that nothing ever came of it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get that with President Trump. I was surprised, optimistically surprised, that the conversations with the president of Mexico, the president of Mexico seemed willing to renegotiate NAFTA if need be, I guess, to keep the thing in place as opposed to getting rid of it altogether was his goal.
Yeah, well, Mexico, they are willing to renegotiate, I guess. It depends upon what their terms of renegotiation are and what ours are. We're glad that the administration will probably send a notice to Congress of an intent to renegotiate as soon as the new U.S. trade representative is confirmed.
Okay.
Which should be very soon now, because they can't send that notice until then. And then we'll see what the Trump administration wants to do. We're hopeful that it'll be some good things. But on net, we have to shrink our trade deficit with Mexico, because before the NAFTA, we had a trade surplus with Mexico. In other words, we sold more than we bought. And, you know, since then, of course, we've had a trade deficit where we bought more than we sold. That's been part of our unsustainability overall trade deficit.
So just to ask, and admitting up front that this, like you said, this sort of doesn't follow party lines at all, but a lot of people are concerned, you know, if the U.S. gets into the business of, well, you know, you put a tariff on us or we're going to put a tariff on you, you start getting into some some pretty serious trade wars there in some cases. What's your organization's position on that?
Sure. Yeah. So right now, tariffs are kindergarten trade strategy. That's not really the game these days. What's happened is we've cut tariffs. Other countries pretended to, but they replaced them with other things like they've devalued their currency,
right,
which is like a tariff and a subsidy. With regard to China, 50 to 60% of their economy is state-owned. They massively subsidize the industries to grab global market share, so big subsidies. Other countries, including Europe, will drop their tariffs, but they will replace them with value-added taxes, which they charge at the border. For example,
sure,
when we did the NAFTA, Mexico raised their value-added tax to 16%, even though they cut tariffs, so we're still paying 16% tax at their border. So the game is beyond tariffs. We just have failed to respond and pretended it was free trade.
And you're talking about the things that I heard Donald Trump bring up on the campaign trail.
We've been talking about these things for several years. When Trump was elected, I told a BBC reporter who called me, said, "You must be pretty happy that Trump is elected." And I said, "Well, all my members are on drugs. Half of them are on antidepressants, and the other half are on painkillers trying to get over the hangover from the party last night."
Yeah, I'll bet. That speaks to the good mix of people you have. But, I think having somebody who's been in business and who's imported and exported things over the years, he probably has a better grasp on this than any president in recent memory.
Yes, I think so. And, of course, Trump, for all, no comment on the other issues because we don't deal with those. But he's been pretty consistent on trade since the Ross Perot days.
Right.
So that's not really a change for him, and we hope he carries through. There is sort of the Kushner-Steve Bannon faction palace warfare going on in the administration that can impact how aggressive they get on trade because Gary Cohn, the head of the National Economic Council, doesn't think, he's the Goldman Sachs guy, he doesn't think trade deficits matter. Of course, Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, and Peter Navarro, the Director of the National Trade Council, think they do matter. Candidate Trump thought they did matter. So there is who wins the intra-Trump administration battle still needs to be sorted out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Michael Stumo, listen, I appreciate your time. The Coalition for a Prosperous America, you want to give folks the website?
ProsperousAmerica.org.
That's pretty simple. All right. Listen, Michael, thanks for your time.
Pleasure to be here.
Yep, appreciate that. So there you go. A little discussion about trade today. I know for a lot of people that makes their eyes glaze over, but the fact that the president just met with the Chinese leaders and he's already talked to Mexico and he's kind of moving ahead on this. He was complaining he didn't have all of his cabinet members in place, so it was kind of difficult to deal with some of these issues because they're still waiting to get people in place. In the next hour, we can talk more about the United Airlines thing if you want. Maybe that thing has passed, but there's still some hilarious memes out there. I was showing this one to Liz a few minutes ago. When your phone updates an app, it gives you a little message on there. We've updated this app for blah, blah, blah. Somebody said, here's some unfortunate timing for you. And there's one that says United Airlines version 2.1.18, April 10th, 2017, supports new drag and drop feature. And it shows it loading on the right side. So I don't know if it's real or not, but if that's true, that is so unfortunate for the people at United. Boy, that's rough. They had a rough day yesterday, didn't they? And the guy had to come out and apologize anyway. Wow. All right. When we come back, more of your phone calls. We'll get to. I got a pile of stuff here I still want to get to before the show's over today, including more on these FISA warrants that we didn't get to talk about yet, and of course.